Well, I want to go over this story about the miserable Ebola man who wishes the population of the earth was 90% depopulated. And he actually talked about this back in 2006. I know the alternative media is making it sound like it's a brand new story, but he even talked about Ebola would be airborne Ebola would be the best thing to depopulate the earth, bring it down 90%. His name is Eric Pianka. So anyway, the thing is, he's a professor, right? And he also is known as the Lizard Man, a biologist. I'm going to take this right off of Wiki, but I'm going to put in my own comments because I'm using Wikipedia because, if you really think this is a conspiracy theory, when you're getting it off of something like Wikipedia, you're not going to really get something that's outlandish, embellished, exaggerated, and all this other garbage like you see on, drama for profit conspiracy people do all this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? In other words, it's actually tamed down on Wikipedia. So, if they're saying it, come on. I mean, it's legit. But basically, they call him a lizard man because Pianka's current work focuses on lizard communities in Australia. His research projects include the study of an ecology of a number of groups of Australian lizards. Okay, I'll just put it that way. But here's the story. This was in 2006. Now, I knew about this in 2006, but, they're bringing it up again now because of Ebola's happened. But he was actually visited by the FBI when he said this. And, it's like we live in a pretty damn free country in a lot of ways. The Western countries are extremely free compared to, like, what goes on in other countries. It's like, we can criticize and say a lot of different things here, but let's not keep throwing dirt on the Western guys. But I do think there's something fishy, though, with this Ebola. I'll talk a little bit more about this. I'm not going to just talk about this only about this guy, but it's kind of weird that he said this, and who the hell knows? Maybe there is something more to it that's going on. But in Pianka's acceptance speech for the 2006 Distinguished Texas Scientist Award from the Texas Academy of Science, so you got a lot of controversy, claimed that the Earth would not survive unless its population was reduced by 90%, which goes along with the Georgia Guidestones and stuff, suggesting that the planet would be better off if the human population were reduced and that a mutant strain of Ebola would be the most efficient means of doing so. So, it's not like this is a made-up story, okay? It's not a made-up story at all. So, it's something real. Now, the one thing I want to say about Ebola, which I find highly suspicious, is they say it's very much, there's other scientists that actually state that it's coming from, here's Eric again here, the miserable professor. Maybe he wants to die, so everybody else wants to die. Maybe he's got another problem. I'll get into that in a second. But the thing is, it's the thing with Ebola, it's got a very close resemblance to HIV, which that alone makes me start suspecting something whereby, because my research, and I know some people are criticizing me for this, but it looks like HIV did not come from the green monkey. And they were saying this back in '88, as a matter of fact. If you look up Dr. Strecker, I believe it is, that it doesn't resemble anything with the green monkey viral virus. It resembles the cow and sheep, a crossbreed between those two, which could have been cultured in human tissue and then injected via vaccine when they're giving out the polio vaccines in South Africa, because it did not even come from the bushman, it came from the people in the city. So how the hell, in other words, the people in the city weren't eating wild green monkeys meat or anything like that. And so it's like, Ebola has a lot in common with HIV, but it was interesting, too. I put a story out, which was hitting the major media, too. That they used a particular HIV drug against Ebola with a 93% success rate, which is pretty damn good, because normally most people die pretty fast. So that's pretty damn good. So anyway, this guy's the lizard guy, Eric. Maybe he's a lizard himself, but sometimes I think people in academia, they either have a handle on or they understand what the policies of the elite are. Now, I don't think Ebola is going to be the big deal that people are talking about, but when you start combining things, Ebola, H1N1, bird flu, HIV, some new thing that comes out, all these different things combined are going to have a toll. And besides toxins, radioactivity coming from Fukushima, GMO foods, pesticides in the foods, pharmaceutical drugs that people sell to people for high profit and stuff. All this adds up. So actually there is a depopulation plan, and also Bill Gates' talk about depopulation. He states it openly. And so, this professor guy is not the only one around, but I think he's actually got another problem. And he's a wacky professor, I could tell you that right now. He's got this, I don't know what it is. Anybody that studies lizards all their life or something, I don't know, they got a problem. So, but they should be a little bit more involved in society, or maybe he is a lizard. But, it almost reminds me of something where people are too engrossed in their field and they're not around enough people. And maybe they got some personal problems themselves. And what I think the personal problem is with Eric, maybe he's got erectile dysfunction. Who the hell knows, man? I don't know, why the hell is he out there in the bush not doing, if you're he's almost like these people. I'm just saying this, man. You never know, man. This guy's got some kind of problem. That's all I got to tell you, man. There's something wrong with this dude. He's a lizard man. So what the hell's his problem, man? I mean, what's his problem? I mean, he wants everybody to die, but if you said, I'm going to kill all these lizards, I bet you he'd be up a problem. He'd be like, don't kill the lizards, kill the people. We can make more habitat for the lizards. So I think there's a problem with this guy. Maybe he's got erectile dysfunction or something. Maybe that's the problem. He's not around the best elements of the human race. Something like this would be a good representation of a good element of the human race. He would definitely not want the human race to die if he came across this type of human race specimen. And, maybe it would cure his problem with his erectile dysfunction, too. Because I'm just stating he's got some kind of problem. I don't know what the deal is. But he seems to be a miserable, old, bearded professor that likes to go around in the desert and play with lizards. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. This is a nut. So he needs to get around with the other parts of the species over here. And if he doesn't, come around into the human race and side with the human race versus the lizards, I think it's time to just put an end to him, because basically he's a freaking a Nazi Gestapo nut job times infinity. When you start thinking about it, I mean, even the Nazis didn't want to depopulate 90% of the earth, right? This lizard guy does. So maybe he's got a problem. Maybe we can give him a couple of good clones here or something like that. Bill Clinton can provide him. And maybe turn him around. He could be a good guy for presenting the point that he was wrong. But, I always say give him a chance. But who the hell knows? But if he does not come around to the human race and he wants to kill humans like this guy ought to be exterminated. That's all I got to tell you, man. So this is my take on the lizard man and Ebola and all this kind of garbage, and it's just a little bit different twist because I don't know, man. I don't know. These people are nut jobs. These people are nut jobs, man. They probably hate themselves, so they want everybody to die. That's what I think is going on with these people, or they're insulated from something, or they're just not, in society enough. They're not intermingled with enough people where they're just in their own little stupid world, for all I know. Maybe that's their problem. But if you want to kill the human race and specimens of the human race, I guess he didn't run. Well, if he still wants to kill the human race after running into specimens of humans like this, I say kill him first. That's my opinion on that deal. If he says he can kill 90% of the humans, I think he's got premeditated murder on his mind. And, that's a bad thing, right? That should, I mean, it's not like you're thinking it. He wants to. He wants it to happen. He's in the field. So I don't know, man. Evil is afoot, but there's not a lot you can do about this stuff. Oh, I want to put out though about while I'm showing this picture of this fine young lady here. I don't know what the hell. I just figured I'd interject a little bit different twist on this story because it gets a little bit down in the dumps crap because everybody's getting overloaded with this. The sky's gonna fall. But I just want to tell you though, probably mega dosing vitamin C might work against. Now you got to watch when it's a hell of a lot. You can look at some of my videos. I think I did a little bit about the mega dosing of vitamin C in there. But if you want to look at Dr. Cathcart, Dr. Levy, Dr. Kleiner, but they even recommend far more vitamin C than Dr. Linus Pauling. Probably does work against viral issues, but then you got to make sure you have enough copper, zinc, glutathione, and all this other stuff to balance things out. It's not that simple, but it's a hell of a lot, so you might survive. But anyway, we'll worry about the better specimens of the species surviving, and not bearded kooks like this that play with lizards out in the middle of nowhere and hate humanity. I really don't think this guy is a credit to humanity. And, if he wants to judge 90% of humanity and put him to death, this guy ought to be watched very carefully. I'll tell you that right now. Over and out.